Hey, I'm Amy Chang. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and this is Healthy AF. In this podcast, I'll be bringing you all things health, from the newest health strategies to how to tackle those personal roadblocks that just will not let you move forward. So buckle in. We're going to be inspired and instructed, and dadgum, we're going to have a little fun on Healthy AF. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Healthy AF. It's Friendsgiving, and I'm so excited to have my friend Emily Allen here. Emily and I have had a whirlwind romance with our friendship and became fast friends after meeting this summer, and recently had a fabulous non-alcoholic happy hour that lasted 2 hours. So it was fun. It was fun. And during that happy hour, I was like, why don't you do Friendsgiving? This is a great conversation. I think people would love this conversation. She was like, all right. Sure. And so here we are. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. So I'm a pharmacist by trade. That's what I, went to school with and have done since, I guess, almost the last 30 years, which is crazy. But I became alcohol-free January 1st, 2021. And it just really shifted a lot of things for me, and reevaluating things. I realized how much better I felt and kind of focused more on my friendships and developing healthy relationships with myself and then with my friends, and decided I wanted to become an alcohol-free life coach. So I just completed in September a 5 times certification. I got an alcohol-free life coach, success coaching, mindset coaching, NLP, and hypnosis.
What's NLP?
NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's ways that our brains process information. And so it sort of like deals with past memories and how we can kind of go into those and change things to make limiting beliefs go away, basically, to like really get into that. So there's several different components of it. It was pretty not complicated, but kind of. I had no idea what it was going into it. So it was interesting to learn a lot.
Yeah, I call NLP the poopy stink. That is like what we're believing that's keeping us away from doing anything that's pertinent in our lives and what we want to do. Yeah, I just call that the poopy stink.
Yeah. So once I completed that, I'm still in the same program. It wraps up in January, and now I'm also in with a business coach and getting ready to start working on my group course that I want to be able to launch hopefully by the May of 2025. And that will be an online group course focusing on alcohol-free lifestyle, kind of geared towards women who realize they've outgrown the mommy wine culture that they maybe have been involved in with their, as they had young children. The thing that I did is I would have friends that I would drink with, right? So we would have the kids go out for mom's nights out, or even have, wine at like play dates and birthday parties and all of that. So just that whole mommy wine culture, it becomes a way to socialize, but I want to be able to provide women with another avenue and some other options, and just to kind of rethink that part of their life, and hopefully find a whole new freedom, which is what I've found. So that's my goal.
Yeah, I love that. I love that journey. And you and I have talked more about what you've discovered while you've been on that journey, and that's why you're on the podcast for Friendsgiving. Because many of my friends, thankfully, I've surrounded myself with people who are willing to grow and willing to evolve and transform. I was actually just reading in the book we're doing for book club. It's a Brene Brown book, Rising Strong, and she was saying there's a evolution, but there's also a revolution, where a revolution in your patterns, your lifestyle, your beliefs isn't easy and flowing, and it's one of those like, no, you earned it, you had to fight for it, you know. And oh, I knocked over my water. And so many of my friends have been through both
Yeah.
evolution and revolution. And when I first heard your story about mommy wine culture becoming something that you were, I don't want to say wrapped up in.
I mean, it's fair. Yeah.
It is? Okay. All right. Wrapped up in. Normalized, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Normalized.
Mhm.
And then your, not drastic, but your decision of like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't at first when I decided I wanted to just try to stop drinking. I did like dry January, and I really had no idea if I would make it, past day 2. Like I had not had a drink for a stretch of time. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how it went because I just, yeah, I mean, I pretty much drank every evening. So I
Yeah.
thought, gosh, will I even be able to do this? And I didn't really tell anybody first because I kind of didn't think I
You
would be
kept
able
it on
to.
the down low. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I was
Yeah.
thinking if I was afraid I would be embarrassed if I couldn't do it,
Mm,
So
yeah.
and then once I had gotten past 3 weeks, I was like, holy smokes. I just felt so much better. I couldn't believe how much better I felt.
Mm.
And and so, yeah, and then I started telling people, because then after January's over with and people might be like, hey, you want to go out? And I'm like, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm doing dry January. I'm going to just keep going. And then, yeah, I just kept going, but it wasn't, I don't think I really realized what I was kind of pulling myself out of until I was out of it. At the time, I wasn't like, oh, wow, I started doing this when I had young kids and it was a way to socialize. And now I'm still doing it, even though I'm not even necessarily socializing. Sometimes, I'm drinking at home alone.
Yeah.
But I was so just, I think, didn't want to see it as what it
Mm.
was. And so, but once I also probably when I hit that 3 weeks and got out of it and realized, wow, I don't need alcohol to be able to relax because it did not relax me. Once I figured it out, I was like, no, it made me anxious and irritable. So, yeah, it wasn't, I can't say that I was totally aware of what I was enmeshed in at the time. It sort of took me getting out of it to see it.
Oh yeah, I love that because yeah, when we're enmeshed, we don't see it.
Yeah.
We get a little delusional and
Mhm.
we live in denial about some stuff, and
Yeah.
and that's just the way that goes with anything, especially those things that we have wrapped so much in our identities.
Hmm.
Whether it's smoking. My aunt was a smoker, and she was very much like that.
Yeah.
And would sit there and lean over the table, to breathe. And, her mom had emphysema and the COPD and whatnot. And she was always getting bronchitis and stuff, but there wasn't like a willingness to see that. I have been totally in denial in some relationships and so, like what's really healthy for me and what's not, even parenting. Like once I start hearing myself giving excuses for my kids' behaviors, I'm like, oh girl, you are tiptoeing into delusional denial there. And yeah, I mean, it happens. It's just
Yeah.
part of waking up to what we're actually doing.
Yeah. And the way that culture just normalizes it, like you said earlier, I mean, it's almost like expected that this is what you do. I
I mean,
mean,
for God's sakes, we have tea towels that are
yes,
like mommy
exactly.
wine time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of, it had to get out of it to be able to sort of see what it was. And then once I started reading some, they call them quit lit books, for books about, when you're first starting to stop drinking, that a couple of the books I read really just like exposed the wine culture for what it is, or
Mm,
just the alcohol industry basically. And it was things I had, and just like it was with the cigarette industry, back when they
yeah.
could have it in the commercials, and they would gear a lot of those commercials to children. And um, the way that alcohol industry is kind of zoned in on women is kind of sickening, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to say right now for all the listeners, this is such a hot button soap box topic for me.
Hmm.
And I'm going to really work hard to self manage over here so that I don't get like real self righteous and angry.
It's hard.
Because it is hard because I see it in my clients from the very smallest impact of, they're trying to make dietary changes and or sleep changes or whatever it is, and like that cocktail at night
Hmm.
is the thing that's making the decision to go and have that second piece of pizza at 11 p before they go to bed,
Yep.
or it's that thing that's lulling them to sleep on the couch, at 9:30 and then wake up at 2 and get up and go to bed, right? All of these sort of poopy patterns, that influence of alcohol, I see it from that point all the way up to, like, really there is alcoholic drinking and the impact that that has on everything from relationships to like your body. The fact
Hmm.
that your tummy is always upset, or you've got that diarrhea all the time, or you don't know why, you're having neurologic issues in your extremities, or, all the things that sort of alcohol can bring us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to manage myself over here.
You don't have to hold back.
Yeah. Well, and I feel that way with lots of things. Like I know a friend of mine started dipping back when he was in college and still struggles with it, decades later,
Yeah.
right? And you know how he got exposed to dipping? He was in a frat, and the tobacco company set up one of those big, huge, like trash can barrels filled with free 5 can logs of like the tobacco.
Gosh. Oh.
And it does. It makes me want to throw a punch.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
stop doing this, especially to our children.
Exactly.
But like I gotta, like, I'm gonna have to do some self care, some self soothing. Yeah. So there is definitely a culture,
Hmm.
and it's being marketed to.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do for sure. So I'm interested in these books that you were
Yeah.
talking about. When I quit drinking, I just quit. It was a low hanging fruit for me. I didn't have a specific pattern of drinking. I wasn't specifically in a culture. I think I probably tiptoed in a culture for a year ish or
Yeah.
so, and then my life shifted, and I wasn't really in that culture anymore. So it was I won't say it was easy for me to stop, which was surprising.
Yeah.
When I stopped drinking, I was uh, taken aback at the handful of times. Anytime from like, oh God, I'd really love a glass of wine. It's been a hard day, to like, y'all are on my damn nerves. I need a Mars. That surprised me. That
Yep.
surprised me, but it wasn't hard, I wasn't enmeshed with that as a normal pattern.
Right. 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 Yeah.
So tell me about these books.
I'm trying to think. The first one I read, Annie Grace has, her book is called This Naked Mind, and it really goes into like the physiology of alcohol, and goes into limiting beliefs. Um, it was a really powerful
Hmm.
first book to read. I was like, I mean, basically, after I finished reading that book, I was like, well, I never want to drink again. Like, it was really just powerful.
We'll
Um,
put all these books, by the way, in the show notes with links.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Annie Grace. And then Quit Like a Woman by, I think, Holly Whitaker. That was
Mhm.
really empowering because she really goes after. I mean, talk about getting fired up. I mean, she is fired up basically through that whole book. You would like,
Yeah,
and
I
she
might.
talked, yeah, yeah. So that one was, again, very empowering and things I hadn't really thought about before until,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and then I'm trying to think if there's one more that I really like. Now I'm blanking on the name of it. Oh
Oh,
gosh.
you can text it to me if it comes to
Okay.
you,
And it was
and we'll
written
put it in
more
the
from
show
like
notes.
a mom's perspective. She's fun. The author is funny. So the book was kind of funny. It was about, she lives in England and it was her story of her first few months and in the years of it. And it was compared to the Holly Whitaker one that was a little bit more intense. This one was fun.
Mm.
You could relate. And by that point, I was already so far into my alcohol free journey that I could just sort of enjoy it. And, but I just, those books really did help me through the first, because that's what I would start doing in the evenings instead of,
Okay, great.
drinking. Yeah. I'd be
You
like,
subbed it in.
and I would drink tea, like hot tea, and read my books. I changed my location like I would normally be in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I was like out, once I was done with dinner, out of the kitchen and just
Yeah.
shifted where I was, shifted what I did just to get out of the routine that I had been so stuck in. So all of those
Oh,
things really
you did
helped.
all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's good to say out loud. I appreciate you sharing that
Oh yeah.
because some people don't have to. They're like, yeah, no, I don't want that. And some
Yeah.
people like you need more support for yourself to take away a habit maybe you didn't know you were enmeshed with. And
Hmm.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it surprised me how many times I was like, "Oh God, margarita." Mm. What surprised you when you stopped drinking that January?
Mhm.
What were some of the realizations you had, like, right off the bat that you were like, "Oh, crap, I did not know that I was being impacted in that way?"
Um, the first one was sleep. I
Mm,
thought I slept okay. And I would sort of be so, I'd have my last drink at like 10:30 and then just go to bed. Um, but I would wake up at like that 3 a.m. and um, not always in like a panic, but just sort of like, you sort of jolt awake and you're like, what is going on? And then your heart would be racing. A lot of
mm,
times then the thoughts would come in like, oh, how many glasses of wine did I have last night? What, why am I doing this? Maybe tomorrow I won't have as many. And just so
mm.
those thoughts that just creep in at 3 in the morning. So when I stopped, and I knew this going into it because I'd kind of read some things leading up to my quit date. Um, I knew that it was could be likely that I've had a harder time falling asleep when I first stopped, and I did. So like those first 3 nights, I'm like, I couldn't just fall asleep because my body didn't know how to just
Yep.
naturally fall asleep. So, but then once I got past that and just fell asleep just on my own, I would sleep all the way through the night, wake up and
Mm,
actually feel like good, not have a headache, not have dry mouth and just those icky hungover feelings that I just kind of thought were normal, honestly,
yeah. Yeah.
because it'd been so long. So sleep that was just great. And I didn't 100% know that had been affected as much as it had been. Um, and then how I felt, like you mentioned, the stomach issues.
Mhm.
Again, I kind of just thought, oh, this is just
Yeah.
normal, whatever.
Yep.
It wasn't normal. And so
Yep.
everything, regulated or however you want to put
Yeah.
it. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Here we say, "I started pooping right."
started pooping right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, I was like, who knew? Who knew?
Mhm.
Um, and then once I had I had my I had my checkup. I go, every year, have blood work drawn.
Mhm.
The last time I had been was in October before I quit in January, and my cholesterol was 249, and but anything above 200 is high, and it had been high for a while, but that was the highest it had been in a while, and I was just like, holy crap! He didn't feel like he needed to start me on anti-cholesterol or
Yeah.
cholesterol lowering medicines yet, but it was definitely like making notes. Um, so then quit in January, and I went back that next October. My cholesterol dropped 50 points.
Shoo, you're kidding me.
And he was like, what? And I'd also lost like 20 pounds. And so
Yeah.
it was,
I'm curious. Did you notice anything happen with your triglycerides?
they were, no, they were, because, yeah, they
They
were
were
always
okay.
okay. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so, and,
Yeah.
and my liver enzymes miraculously were always okay. I don't know how,
Yeah,
because,
I've got a real beef with the way we do our lab values because you and I mean, I would assume you and I both know that you can actually be a very heavy drinker and your body can be taking the hit
mhm,
and your liver enzymes are fine.
yeah.
Okay? Your liver enzymes are fine. If you're sort of on the fence, if you're concerned about your drinking but you're waiting for your liver enzymes to bump,
Uh-huh.
we're going to be, it's going to be a long time
Yeah.
and the rest of your stuff might be wrecked um, while you're waiting for those liver enzymes to bump. If you
Yeah.
think you're like safe because your liver enzymes are fine, I just want to call like that's some
No.
BS right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what I thought, because I would be so
Mhm.
nervous to see those results. I would open up those like,
Mm.
yeah. So, and they haven't even really like dropped that much. I thought, oh, they're going to just, I mean, they were never bad. And then they went down some, but it wasn't like a huge drastic change. But the cholesterol showed that my liver was not metabolizing cholesterol in the way that it should, probably because it was so busy trying to metabolize the alcohol that it didn't have time. It was,
I love that. I really do appreciate the way you look at um, your transition from being an everydayer to like a not at allayer.
mhm.
And, it'd be real easy to be ugly to yourself or to, and all the things that we do that are like, oh, wow, yeah, that was not the wisest decision I could have made. And I love that you and I can both like laugh and be like, yeah, thank God your liver's working. I mean, it was struggling there for a minute with the cholesterol, but two thumbs up, got a liver going.
Exactly. And those things regenerate, too. So,
Yeah,
so
they
I'm
do. I worked on the liver transplant team
like,
when I was a nurse. One thing that I feel sort of passionate about letting people know when it comes to alcohol is, from a nursing perspective, like I had given the assessments before and I had taken care of alcoholics. I had taken care of alcoholics with liver failure because
mhm.
they were in getting liver transplants and we were doing living related transplants, which was like the new thing, like back in the day, okay,
Yeah.
where you could, just take 2/3 of somebody's liver and donate it to another person who needed a liver. And I had a certain picture of a person who needed to stop drinking
Mhm.
for health reasons in my head. And that included like elevated liver enzymes, yellow eyeballs,
Mhm.
a yellow tint to the skin, um, and certain other lab value. We were always running banana bags on them because their vitamins sucked because they couldn't absorb anything through their gut. But that's really like way over here.
Yeah.
And so to me, I didn't know like I'm hurting my body with alcohol could look like my cholesterol's high and
Hmm.
my liver enzymes are fine.
Yeah.
And I don't sleep great, but I'm okay. I don't poop great, but it's all right. Like I didn't know that. I was just like, oh, that person getting the liver transplant, he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, like, oh, alcohol's affecting the body over here. And I think that's what had me quit. Is
Yeah.
that I just realized, Amy, there's no benefit
Mm-mm.
to me drinking,
Mm-mm.
and there's actually harm when you look at my genetic profile. I think everybody, that's a personal opinion. That is not I have no research to say that it is harmful to everyone, but I will say I know it's harmful for my brain, and I'm
Yeah.
okay without it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more that, we talk, like meeting when I met you, I don't knew if I knew right away that you were a non-drinker. I mean, I'm sure it came up soon after because I'm probably told you right away, but being able to just like talk about these things with other women and just supporting each other, that's the
Mm.
like that's what I really feel like I'm sort of called to do,
Mm.
is just bring women together and support each other and talk about it. And and not everybody has to be ready to quit right then, but just to
Yeah.
be open to learning more about it, or if they have questions, because it was a daunting experience. I mean, I was doing it basically on my own. Like I said, I hadn't really even told anybody, and I was reading the books, but I was not in a support to system at the time. So um,
You
I think,
said you had started thinking about it before January 1. What
yeah.
had you start thinking about it?
Um, you know what? I think I saw like a program online that would like stalk me on Facebook. That was, I was like, why do I keep seeing this?
Yeah.
Alcohol free dry January challenge, like that kind of thing. But that's probably what planted the seed,
Yeah.
which is interesting now that I kind of think back about it, that that's, yeah, what it was. And so probably it planted the seed. I thought, yeah, and I knew some about dry January, but had
Yeah.
never considered it before. And it was sort of like a way to just sort of do it and meld into the crowd, like, oh, everybody's, trying
Yeah.
it for
Yeah.
January and not stand out. So yeah. And I think just
Oh,
having that date set helped me too. I mean, I don't think that that's a necessary thing for anybody, but it kind of helped me, gave me a goal. I mean, that New Year's Eve, that night before, I mean, I had wine, I had Aperol spritzes. I was like, better get rid of, drink it so it's not in the house, kind of a
girl,
thing.
I know so many people who are heavy drinkers who do that whole like, I better get it all in
Yeah.
because tomorrow I'm either going to be dry for a month or I'm going to and to be fair, I have totally done that with some sugar. Now I have been like, I'm going sugar free tomorrow and hand me the Oreos, bring on the Butterfingers, where's my Snickers, like shamelessly.
Yeah, me too, me
So,
too.
yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
So yeah, but when I woke up on that January 1st, I was sort of like, whew, I don't, I'm not drinking tonight because I felt horrible. But having that drink later, like around 5 o'clock when I normally would have, I knew it would have like sort of taken off
Yeah,
that
taking
edge.
off the edge. Yep.
But I was determined. I was like, I'm at least going to make it through one day. I'm going to.
I'm
So
so glad you did. Like for you, gosh, I'm so glad you did.
yeah, me too, me too.
So okay, so here's our Friendsgiving questions.
Okay, good. Yay.
Okay, great. So the first one is, what's an area of growth you didn't know you needed?
Area of growth. I think like one thing that I've really felt drawn to, like I kind of sort of alluded to before, is this whole the community, sense of community and building
Mm.
community. Um, Obviously, COVID already, everybody talks about that, but that really did affect the way that we interacted with other people for a while. And before that, my friend group was basically like people that where my kids went to school, like those moms.
Other
And
moms, yeah,
yeah,
school
and I
moms.
just kind of had a few friends there and just felt like, okay, this is it. Like, I don't, whatever, this is enough, this is fine. And we drank, together
Mhm.
a lot. And so now that I'm like meeting other people, like meeting you. And I've, joined the yoga studio and just really focusing on investing in getting to know people versus kind of thinking, oh, I've got this little friend group. I don't need any more friends. Why would I try to go, meet other new people? And that's sort of what I would do before. I just kind of, if I met somebody, oh, great. But I wouldn't try to really like get to know them or let's meet up for coffee or anything like that. And now, so I kind of thought I was okay in the friend area, but now I'm realizing I, shut myself off to potentially so
Mm.
many other people. So I'm really trying to embrace that now and talk to people and not be afraid to get real, especially, somebody where
Mm.
you can pick up on
True.
their vibe that they're willing to be real too. Then you're like, okay, we don't need a small talk. We can small talk for a few minutes, but then we can, talk about poop and
I know I can't tolerate it. Like I have a very low tolerance for I'm talking to you about nothing. I
yeah.
just which is great in one way because like if I'm in it with you. I mean, we're going to talk about it all. I don't care if I've known you 35 seconds or 35 years. We're going to leave each other having a meaningful connection.
Hmm.
But I was going to say, and I'm so glad you said community because I was going to say an area of growth that I didn't know I needed was I do tend to isolate.
Hmm.
And I would never, ever, ever, ever have said that about me because I know that like I'm a group exerciser. I love to go to the gym. I need to be around people. I like to go to church. I like to, do things live in person with other people, even though all of my work is online, right? Like, you
Okay.
know, and yet I tend to shop. Well, shit, fire. When I ask you to come to my house for non alcoholic happy hour, it took me days. I told you I was going to do that at the yoga. And then it took me like so long because I didn't want, like, well, I don't know. Maybe, and I'm making up stories in my
Oh yeah.
head. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. She's probably got some kid stuff going on. Well, I was going to invite her, but I know her husband's home. Well, I don't know if she wants to come. Are you kidding me? Amy invites some flipping people.
That's right.
No, but I did not know how much I do isolate, and I did
Mhm.
not know how much it affects me.
Yeah. Do you feel like that you did that as much before COVID, or do you feel like you kind of got into that
Girl,
more?
COVID, I hate to admit this, COVID has been the least rocky of
Okay.
my life in the
Yeah.
last decade.
Yeah.
With the end of my marriage that was sort of sudden, traumatic, crazy town, with falling in love again and being like swept up. Talk about some denial.
Mm,
Swept up in that and the promise of that new life. And then that blowing up
yeah.
and a move across the state and like a pandemic was just that's a chump change for Amy Chang.
Right. I just added on.
I know, right? What else? Throw it on. My daddy died too, and I ran over the family dog. What else do we need to do? Started a new career and a new business. Like, I mean, bring it on. It's been busy. The
Yeah.
last 8 years have been busy for me, but yeah. I don't know. Yes, and yeah, sure. COVID was hard on all my people,
Hmm.
and that made it hard for
Yeah.
me. I had friends who I lost a friend to his alcoholism during COVID.
Oh wow.
I
Gosh.
had a couple increase in their drinking
Hmm.
and suffer the consequences for that. My kids came home.
Hmm.
Two were in boarding school in high school and one was in college. And all of a sudden they came home and we had not been the three kids and a parent under one roof since their dad left.
Yeah.
So 3 years before. So
Yeah.
um, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think that thank goodness I did have already, thank goodness for one thing, I didn't drink a lot.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that would have been my crutch, my lean in.
Hmm.
I got outside a lot.
That's good. Yeah. I
I
wish
got
I,
outside a
wish I
lot.
would have done
Yeah. You know,
that.
I have some addictive things, and thankfully they have not bitten me in the butt too much. Like exercise. Yeah, I got to do a lot of exercise to get myself into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? Yeah, but yeah, it's hard. And I did see in my patient population, I will say
Oh,
that
yeah.
while I was coaching that year, people were like, I've started having that glass of wine at 3 instead of 5:30.
Exactly. Because
And
you were at
mhm,
home anyway. Yeah. That's,
yeah.
um,
And
yeah.
then by 5:30 it's number 2 or 3, and then by 7 you're at 4 or 5, and then the bottle's gone and you're
Yeah.
asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
common.
Yeah. Mine definitely ramped up too. And it's also when I became aware that, oh, I'm not just a social drinker, I guess, because I'm not socializing, but I'm still drinking. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Okay. So, what area of growth do you know you needed, but you thought you would never have?
Hmm. I mean, me launching this business is crazy. I'm
I
still like,
know. I'm like, girl, put your seatbelt on. You
yeah,
getting ready to go on a ride.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been a pharmacist for 30 years. I've been, a mom for almost
Yeah.
21 years. And never did I ever think
Yeah.
that I would be becoming having an online presence, gosh, on
Oh
social
God,
media,
I know.
and work and just doing all this. Like but it's been so fun so far.
Mm.
And being able to be creative, because, as a
Mhm.
pharmacist, there's not a lot of room for creativity. You kind
I
of have
hope
to
not.
do things by the book, right? We don't get creative back there.
Let's see,
So,
I'll give her 25 of her Synthroid, and then I'll just throw in a couple Ativans.
yeah, yeah,
She'll
it's
love
for fun. See if she notices. Yeah, so it's very by the book, which and that's sort of my personality, is a very much, by the
it. Yeah.
book. I think that's probably why I became a pharmacist. So this is new and exciting and fun, and I'm
Mhm.
loving like tapping into my creative side, and then still being able to help people, because, another part of me being a pharmacist and you being a nurse is I
Yeah.
did want to help people. So I'm excited now to be able to help people with something that I have such a personal connection with, had a personal struggle with, and just feel like I just want to share like what I've
Mhm.
learned. But I never would have thought 5 years ago, even, I never would have thought this, oh, I'm going to be a life coach. No.
Right. I know it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But I'm
I
excited.
I think that's usually my answer. I think you're my fourth Friendsgiving interview, which has been great. I may just do Friendsgiving the rest of the year. It's
You
been
should.
so much fun.
Yeah, you
Um,
should.
and usually I say patience that I knew I needed, but I never thought I'd make any headway on patience because I know my mom and she still has about as much patience as I do. But I think that it's really been being like sort of. I knew that I needed to sort of be able to not be intense girl.
Hmm.
I knew that sometimes I would wear myself out, and I
Yeah.
didn't really know there was another way to be
Mm.
other than just go, 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 busy, 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 do, 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 stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, this last almost decade has given me so many opportunities to suffer
Yeah.
and to not suffer and to grow and learn and really be open. And it serves my clients well. And so I totally get what you say when you say, you know, you never thought 5 years ago that you would be able to have a story to share that
Mm.
moves people forward and has them feel all the good things that coaches want us to feel. We are not alone. We are more powerful than we think we are, and we
Mm.
can do it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of areas that I can now do much better now that I've had a gullet full of learning opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And grateful for it.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't change,
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't change a thing for sure.
No, me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither. Even, and it's been tough.
Yeah.
It ain't been no walk in the park.
Nope.
But I
No,
would not change it. Okay, at least anything else on that one before I go to the next?
I don't think so. I think that was it. Yeah.
Um, okay. Ooh, here's a good one. What are you most proud of?
Hmm.
Mm,
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm saying the same things over, but just how far I've come in almost 4 years. Like,
mm,
yeah, I'm very proud of this journey and how many sort of uncomfortable positions I put myself in. They weren't uncomfortable now, but just joining the life coach certification program, being with all these people I didn't know. I mean, all of that was not my like
not your thing.
comfort zone. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm proud of myself for just putting myself out there, having courage to try new things,
Mm,
and I'm just really trying to enjoy the process and take
mm.
it all in. Like this is my first podcast.
Look at that. I'm your first.
Yeah. So like, I never would have, well, probably wouldn't have even asked to been on a podcast, and because who wants a pharmacist on their podcast unless it's like
Oh,
a medical one?
so boring.
Yeah, I know we're
No,
boring.
just no. I'm just kidding. The world needs pharmacists.
Yes, yes, it is a great career. I mean, it has served me well, and I have enjoyed it. But yeah, I this definitely gives me more
Mm,
inspiration for sure. More life.
yeah. I think I am the proudest of in my personal journey letting go of the shame
Mm.
and the significance of all my wayward decisions.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I've had some really big fat mess ups and just and owning it.
Yeah.
Let I can't own all my parts and all the learning I've had and all the opportunities I've had. I literally can't use that and show up as the whole me and own that if I'm lugging like shame around it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm really that's been a hard fought journey for me because in the past and when I first started being trained as a coach, to be trained as a coach, you get coached hard.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And hard. And when you start looking at you and it doesn't always feel good,
Hmm.
my go to would be, basically leaning into like, I'm just worthless
Mm.
and I'm just, bad. And I can't believe I've done that. I can't believe I've done those things to my children. I can't believe I've done those things to my spouse. I can't believe, all of that.
Hmm.
Um, and then growing through it so I can say like, oh yeah, I totally messed that one up. And I was being so selfish that day and like moving on, like going forward, like, yeah, I was being selfish that day.
Yeah.
And this is what I learned. And this is
Hmm.
how I try to avoid being selfish again. And this is how I know, oops, I'm on the selfish meter. My bad. Who do I need to make an amends to? Because I know that. Yeah. And that's been a real area of growth that I'm really proud of because that's been hard.
Yeah, yeah, the shame thing, man, that will really mess with our heads. So
Oh,
I love
girl.
that you've been able to learn how to let that go because it's just a lie too. I mean,
Oh, it's such a lie.
yeah.
It's such a lie. What did we, I guess in the summer, my Sunday school group got together. and we were having a dinner or something. I was sitting around the table with a bunch of women, and I was telling a story, and I was like, "Oh yeah, and I did this and this and this," and they were like, "Wow, you just that's really good that you can just," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it happened, man."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like
what's
it
the
is what
point?
it is.
Right. Right. There's no point in making ourselves shiny and
Yeah,
to other people, you know?
this girl got some dents, man. But I'm not on the discount bin. Let's just establish that right now. I might be in the scratch and dent, but my price tag is high, man.
I love that.
Oh gosh. I love talking with you, Emily. It's so much
Oh,
fun.
this is
Uh, okay, this one is let's see. What do you still struggle with?
hmm. Yeah, so I'm struggling with just the self-confidence that this
Mm,
is going to happen. And I've definitely learned tools, especially with coaching, of how
yeah.
to work through those limiting beliefs. And but that's the thing that'll still pop in. Like, is this really going to happen? And
Yes. Mhm.
so, yeah, I would say my confidence level, it has definitely grown since in the last year, especially kind of just being in this life coaching program and
Mhm.
just kind of going for it and showing up on social media, all of that I would not be doing if I wasn't doing this. So, but I'm aware of it and I work through it and encourage myself. But that would be that's still probably up there, the top.
How do you, okay, so I know this is a hot topic for everyone, self confidence. What's your one go to that works most of the time when the gremlins start up with the like, you can't do this. Why would you do it? Well, I remember,
Yeah.
what's your one go to?
Mine is just ask myself, what else would you be doing right now? If you
Mm-hmm.
weren't doing this, if you weren't starting this business that kind of scares you and puts you out there and shakes your confidence, what else would you be doing? Do you want to go back to being just sort of, existing and going through your daily routine, da da da, da, or having this? So it kind of brings me back to this
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm doing and I can do this. And it motivates me knowing
Yeah.
that I'm doing something that I'm enjoying and that's for me and gives me that like suck it up and just keep showing up. And
Mm,
what's the worst that could happen?
I know, right?
I mean,
Well, we could make a lot of stories about that if you wanted to.
yes, but yeah, that
Yeah.
kind of just pushes me to keep going.
Mhm. Yeah, I find that same things, self confidence. The gremlins are sometimes louder. They're always louder at three a.m.
Hmm.
I've just told myself we're not having these conversations in the middle of the night. Okay, you can just shut that down right now. I'm not doing it. So that's been a handy tool, like because honestly, none of the thoughts that I think at night when I'm lying awake, when I would like to be asleep, are quality thoughts. None of them are quality
Never
thoughts.
helpful.
So I'm like, okay, I'm not having that conversation. Then another one will come up. I'm like, nope, get out of here. So I use that one a lot. I think that the sneaky part, because I don't know if you've know, I don't know if this has been your experience, but it seems like the healthier in my head I get, the sneakier. Um, I mean, you can call them character defects, or you can call them, characteristics or whatever. The sneakier the negatives are.
Mm.
So, for example, like sometimes when I'm not feeling super confident about something, I won't tell myself like, "Oh, you can't do that and you can't," but there'll be something else that'll catch my eye
Mm.
that feels easier and better. Perfect example. If I am not feeling confident that day about making a social media post, then all of a sudden I've got to create a system for how the social media posts should be done and how I should communicate between my VA and myself and what content should, and I can hide behind my computer
Yeah.
where no one can see me and I can be all isolated. And it takes me a minute to realize, like, oh, wait a minute, girl, you are just avoiding something because you're having some feelings and they don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm seeing it now, and I'm getting quicker at recognizing the distraction
Yeah.
as a self-soothing. I'm just self-soothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that. Uh, but yeah, it's a sneaky son of a gun.
Yes. Oh
Oh,
gosh. Yeah, I'll
yeah,
reach for my phone to like scroll. If I've hit some kind of wall, I'm like, oh, let me just. So yeah, anything to distract from the moment of
yeah,
uncomfortability.
yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about, say, share, anything you really want people who are still listening to this podcast to get for themselves, for their lives right now?
Yeah. We'll say thank you for still listening.
I
For
know, right?
listening.
Are you awake? Wake up. We're about to wrap.
um, yeah, and so I want other women to know that, there's so many things they can have beyond, the numbing effects of alcohol. Like it's hard to kind of break through that, but once you get to the other side, it just opens up a whole new world. It for everything, for with you, the relationship with your kids, the relationship with your spouse, the relationship with yourself and your friends. Um, just getting that block out of the
Mhm.
way can be definitely life changing, and just the freedom that comes from knowing, I never have to have a hangover ever again. Like I never have to regret something I said, or wonder the next morning, did I leave my purse somewhere? Just all of those things that could come
All
up.
the things.
Yeah, just having that freedom and knowing that you're living your most authentic self, and
Mhm.
just living in that freedom, living in that joy. That's what I really want to be able to share with other people, and just be an encourager and support
Yeah.
for people, because it's not easy.
No, it's not. And in fact, you said something earlier that really made me think. Most of the people I work with are women, and they are living lives that they haven't taken stock of in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even know that there is a different way.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't know how to go get it,
Yeah.
or what to do
Mm-hmm.
to create it.
Yeah.
So I think I see that in sobriety too, um, that there is this sort of bright, shiny, unhazed window way of living your life
Mm-hmm.
that you can't appreciate because your window is hazed, but you haven't seen a clean window in so damn long
Mm-hmm.
that you can't remember or contemplate. Maybe you've never seen it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that most of the people I work with, I try to help them really dive into and make a possibility for themselves that no, there really is something over there
Yeah.
that is different from the ho hum, the go, 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 the wash, rinse, repeat, the hot mess express, I'm not living my life, my life's living me.
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So, yeah, there is life,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't even imagine what it is, but it's over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I want to
Yeah.
come over again and have another sober Saturday.
Oh, I love that. Sober Saturday. Yeah, I thought those little sprigs of the rosemary were so cute. We put in our cocktails, and I made one last night, and I put in some lavender, a little sprig of
Mhm.
lavender.
Oh, you're fancy.
I was fancy up in here. Yeah. Well, if anyone listening to this podcast wants to have a clear window life,
Mm.
and you don't even know what it looks like, and you've been looking at this haziness for a while, you can always call for a consult with me. Do you do consults, Emily?
Yeah, so I'm have like on my Instagram is Living Free with Emily,
Okay.
and there I have a link to set up like a free discovery call type of a thing
Okay.
where we can see if you want to work, because I will offer one-to-one coaching, and then like I said, the group program will hopefully be launching in May. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, yeah, I have a
So
link on
cool.
my
So you
Instagram.
can link up with Emily, or you can always link up with me. You can find all my information in the show notes, because I would love to have a conversation with you about a clean window life.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, give yourself some grace. I'll see you next time on Healthy AF. And until then, just keep living that full life. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthy AF podcast. I hope that it has helped you create a new possibility for your health and sets you into action to go get it. If you want more information, or if you want to connect with me, visit my website at myhealthylife.coach. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that each new Healthy AF episode will be sent directly to you. Let's take you from where you are to where you want to go.